and let us all do we can to build a better future. Well, Fox News is going to do a very interesting segment. It's an interesting segment to me because they're talking about the spoiler effect of third parties. They're going to talk about Ross Perot to Dr. Jill Stein to overall what a third party can do in an election cycle. Now, look, let me be very clear here. I'm in full support of independence. I'm in full support of third parties making their voices heard. And I think it's long overdue we stop pretending and ignoring the fact that more Americans identify themselves as independents. Now, I'm in full support of the Greens launching their campaign in 2024. I'm in full support of the Libertarians launching their campaign in 2024. I'm in full support of independents and other political parties rising up and challenging the two-party system. I think it's long overdue. We have to break away from voting Democrat or Republican. Now, again, what I find interesting is that we're seeing this kind of report of somehow third parties being a spoiler. Well, it's not my fault that the other establishment parties are incapable of reaching across the aisle towards independence. And our voice is only growing louder and louder. No, chastising does not work, Pod Save America. It's not going to work this time around. And I think at this point in time, nobody should fall victim to the propaganda of, we got to vote for Biden because Trump is worse. Nothing fundamentally changed under Biden. It just got worse. This is a fact. It's not open to debate. So shout out to Case Study QB for finding this gem. I want to share it with all of you because it's the kind of stuff that Dr. Cornel West and anyone else who supports independence are going to have to deal with.
And there's historical precedent for a third candidate causing maybe even more than embarrassment in the primaries, but in some estimation, affecting the outcome. Let's go off the wall again and can look at the history. We'll start in 2016. Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton. You had two outside candidates staying in the race until late. You had Libertarian Gary Johnson, the former governor of New Mexico, and Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love doing Off the Wall. Sometimes we're reminded of things that forgot about their two candidacies. Presumably, he would have.
I didn't, and I was very happy that Gary Johnson and Jill Stein stayed in the race to the very, very end, and their votes were tallied up.
Maybe taken more from Donald Trump as a Libertarian, the Green Party candidate, maybe a little bit more from Hillary Clinton. But when you look at the actual numbers, the reason Jill Stein's vote is so significant is the percentage of vote that she got in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Jill Stein, Green Party candidate, was higher than the margin of victory for Donald Trump. So let's say Stein voters go to Clinton, those outcomes could be different.
Yeah, and a lot of this is analysis and guesswork from the supposed experts. It's true that while Jill Stein's level of vote exceeded the margin of error, there are others that say, yeah, but a Jill Stein voter was going to stay home, as though if she were not in it, they would have voted for Hillary Clinton. No, many say they.
Here's what I would have done. And I made this promise, and I'm going to follow through with it. And I did it in 2022 during the midterm election cycle. Now, again, I have identified myself as a progressive, independent. I voted for Green Party candidates before. And during the 2016 election cycle, if Jill Stein wasn't going to be on the ballot, I was going to vote for the Libertarian because the Libertarian isn't Democrat or Republican. I made that promise to myself that if there is no independent candidate, I'm not voting for president. So while I may not be voting for president, I will vote. I'm not telling all of you to vote because I get that some of you are burnt out by electoral politics, but I will vote for the independent third-party candidates that are on the ballot. Why? Because I believe in being consistent. I will not vote Democrat or Republican. I'm breaking away from the two-party system. Case in point, in 2022, the Greens here in Illinois, during that midterm election cycle, they were only on one ballot, I believe, for U.S. representative, and then the rest for water reclamation. I voted for Green. There was even a Workers' Socialist Party that was running for a lower tier office during the 2022 midterm election cycle. I voted for them. The Illinois Libertarian Party were running and had all their candidates for almost every single major seat for that election that was up for grabs. I voted for the Libertarians. So there's only two options on how this will play out. If there are no independents, well, I walked into the ballot office, nothing there, not going to vote. I'll support the Citizen Ballot Initiative, and that's it. But if there are independents, I'm voting for them. And here's the thing. Independents, you don't have to vote Democrat or Republican. You don't have to be browbeaten to vote for the two-party system. If there are no independents on the ballot, just walk out. You don't have to waste your time. You don't have to owe the DNC or RNC your time and effort just to write in a check or click their name in a computer screen. Vote independent, vote third party. You don't owe the Democrats a goddamn thing, and you don't owe the Republicans a goddamn thing.
Wouldn't have. They wouldn't have become Democrats. They were Green Party voters for Jill Stein.
That's right. I mean, nothing is clear cut. Exit polls showed that a lot of Stein voters would stay home, which is why it's impossible to project how in 2024 a Manchin candidacy or a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. candidacy, where does it cut? Who stays home? Enthusiasm really does matter.
Yeah, let's go to another election where we had these third-party candidates believed to play a crucial role. We can go back to 2000. You remember it came down to Florida, and it came down to less than 600 votes, 36 days, and a fight there in Florida that was ultimately settled by the Supreme Court. But in that situation as well, Pete, we had a Green Party candidate.
Remember?
Hey, that's Ralph Nader. The person that Bernie Sanders, the cuck, is afraid to be like. I'll give Ralph Nader credit for this. At least he was consistent, unlike Bernie Sanders. Let's watch the rest of this.
We had a Green Party candidate.
Remember this guy? I mean, it was a big name at the time. Ralph Nader, Green Party candidate. Imagine that. There was a Green Party candidate running against Al Gore, Mr. Green.
Yeah.
Never thought about that. That's pretty ironic considering what he went on to do. The reason that's also significant is Nader garnered 100,000 votes in Florida. So if that's the margin, and this guy gets 100,000, he's also ran. Does that determine who was the president?
Well, good. Yeah, I'm going to say it again. Good. Good. I'm happy for that. Quote me on that. I'm happy that the third-party candidate got a lot more votes than the Democrat. Hell, I'm happy when a Libertarian gets more votes than a Republican. I'm happy when Greens and Libertarians are successful. I am happy when independent candidates win, as should all of you. Because as you should be happy for that. Because for too long, the Democrats and Republicans have been controlling the narrative, controlling the entire political environment here in Washington, D.C., across America. Break away from it. I am happy to see this success, and I encourage it to continue on. And by the way, vote blue no matter who. Popular vote really doesn't matter. And yes, I understand swing states are important, but you know what? Maybe none of this would be relevant if the Democrats stopped being lazy and actually got rid of the Electoral College. There were numerous opportunities in which the DNC could have gotten rid of the Electoral College, get rid of that antiquated system, because in a healthy republic and a healthy democracy, popular vote matters. But here in the United States, popular vote means jack. What supersedes the popular vote is the Electoral College. So maybe, I don't know, we could update our system and be like the rest of the world and get rid of the Electoral College. But oh, wait, Democrats are spineless cucks who would never do that.
On 9/11, it could have been Al Gore, not George Bush.
And then perhaps most famously when it comes to third-party candidates, we can go back to 1992 when Texas billionaire Ross Perot.
Again, Ross Perot. This man was on point. Everyone makes fun of him for that vacuum cleaner noise he made. Are you laughing now? Because he was right. He was correct. He called it out. What was going to happen with NAFTA. And now we have to live with it. Thanks to everybody's favorite neoliberal Democrat, Bill Clinton. The same Bill Clinton who got rid of Glass-Steagall. Same Bill Clinton who signed the crime bill. Same Bill Clinton who made corporate media what it is thanks to the Telecoms Act. That's right. The reason why the media is like its way today right now, the reason why the economy is the way it's right now, the reason why the prison industrial complex is the way it is right now is because of everyone's favorite quote-unquote liberal, Bill Clinton. Hindsight is 2020, ain't it?
Entered the race, dropped out of the race, then came back into the race, and ultimately ended up getting 19% of the vote. And most people believe that Ross Perot's vote tally pulled from George H.W. Bush.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the same thing I said about Jill Stein, Ralph Nader, and now for Ross Perot. Very good. I'm happy about that. I'm happy to see that. That's what I want to see. And I hope we see that again in 2024. I hope that the Green Party and the Libertarian Party are able to get enough votes to be federally recognized so that at long last there are more options for Americans to vote for.
I mean, it's certifiable when you look at people. The folk. I mean, he was a populist, a billionaire, a blunt talker. I mean, Bill Clinton won with 43% of the vote. I mean, underwater on that victory. 19% changes the entire campaign. You talk to people inside the H.W. Bush camp to this day, or even Clinton folks, they acknowledge Clinton's not in the White House without Ross Perot.
Yeah, they believe that to be the case. There are others, again, back to the alchemy that is political polling, that suggests if you just polled them 1-to-1, H.W. Bush against Bill Clinton, it would have turned out the same way. It's always hard to know exactly the effect of a third-party candidate. But I think it is fair to say, in this case, we're talking about in a primary, not a general election. And therefore, it's fair to say Robert F. Kennedy could cause, at a minimum, embarrassment for Joe Biden.
It's also worth noting that Democrats are most concerned about a third-party candidate. Just generally speaking, when you look at the news, that it hurts Joe Biden because there's such a lack of enthusiasm for him, even amongst his base and the general public, that people might stay home or switch otherwise. By the way, I looked it up, a famous quote from Ross Perot, and this is kind of why people liked him. If you see a snake, just kill it. Don't appoint a committee on snakes.
Yeah, he's right. Ross Perot was right about a lot of things. He might have been a billionaire, but he called that thing about NAFTA, as well as a few other issues. And that's why I have to say, don't fall in line. Wake up and break away from neoliberalism. Wake up to the reality. The vote blue, no matter who mindset, corporate media, wants to tell you that you should be afraid and so fall in line and trust Joe Biden. Same Joe Biden who can't put together a coherent sentence. Same Joe Biden that's clearly showing signs of dementia and Alzheimer's, who's hiding in the basement. The same Joe Biden who's being protected by the DNC and corporate media because, oh, wait, they don't want to do debates. If RFK Jr. is such an easy threat, according to the Democratic establishment, or they're going to dismiss him, debate him, challenge him, face off against him. Because no matter what's going to happen in the primary, the DNC is going to rig it in their favor, as they always do. But Democrats, when you rig the game, people are going to become resentful. You saw that in 2016. And before anyone types in the computer saying, oh, wait, Kit, Biden won in 2020. Yeah, just barely. I mean, Trump's still running for office, and Trump is wildly more popular than Biden is. And at least his voters are enthusiastic about his campaign. I encourage Dr. Cornel West to keep on pushing forward and challenging against the Biden-Harris administration and actually building a real strong third-party movement. We need to see that happen now. Wake up. Don't let anyone bully you and tell you how to vote or how to feel. This election cycle is only intensifying. And I can't wait as the months continue on. Maybe this time around, people will wake up. Stay tuned to Hard Lens Media.